with Danny, the developer of Concursion. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, definitely. Concursion is a mashup of 5 kind of classically inspired arcade games in one, such that you can actually literally jump from game to game in real time. So if you can imagine literally seeing the physical boundaries between games and being able to sprint and leap from a platformer into kind of a bubble of a ninja hack and slash game where without touching the ground you can take a double jump further into the air, where maybe there's a horizon of kind of a jetpack exploration game and kind of just cruise up into the sky. And so that's the nature of our game. Enemies can cross these boundaries, their behaviors change, their looks change, the soundtrack crossfades into a new style, there's a different art style per world, and the whole game is about kind of the acrobatics you can perform by jumping from game to game in real time.
Where did you get your inspiration from?
Well, I'm a giant fan of classic retro games. You know, my Nintendo is still hooked up in my living room, I play it all the time. But specifically I'd say some of the really more modern high precision, high difficulty platformers, things like Super Meat Boy. And the goal was really to bring these all together in a seamless way, so it's not a grab bag of games, but it's really one seamless experience that you can make your way through in kind of a really creative way.
So, you know how you change worlds? Does the character you play as change, or is it always one?
He does. He changes completely. His look, his form. You might be a completely upright bipedal platformer at one point. If you jump into the depths of outer space, stars in the background, you're going to become a spaceship. You can see the same little man riding in the spaceship in the cockpit, but if you fall back out into feudal Japan, he's going to be wearing ninja garb and holding a sword.
That sounds great. So how far in development is this game?
I'd say we're about 95%. We've got about just shy of 70 levels in the bag, a handful of bosses, and we actually just finished the last of our levels a week ago. And so we're hitting that kind of final QC and polish phase, making sure everything feels just right, making sure nothing's too hard, too easy, and kind of spend the next 8 weeks on that.
So how does the game end? Because if it's keep going, does it change world? Is there a world end? Or?
So every level ends by kind of finding the 6th hidden dimension, which is the dance dimension. You do a bit of disco. But the game proper, let me answer you vaguely. We explore the question of how the heck this happened. Why are there 5 and 6 and actually more with our boss fights games in one? What does that have to do with the kidnapping of the princess at the beginning of the game? What does that have to do with these gem shards that are strewn all over the world that are collected throughout the levels? And so the end of the game answers that question.
I guess your game never actually gets boring because it's obviously, are the levels programmed to be the same, or are they random?
They are the same throughout. They're kind of very highly choreographed, and there's 70 of them. But as the game goes on, we kind of explore the ideas of what happens if your enemies don't in fact shapeshift to meet their environment? What if you had to deal with a spaceship in your platformer? What if the boundaries between the dimensions actually move and shift? What if there's a bubble that moves and you have to stay within it? And in the latter levels, what if these actual dimensional bubbles have an intelligence? What if they can pursue you or evade you based on whether they're helpful or harmful? And so it's quite a lot of ideas all kind of densely packed into the one.
So are these all, is this like have you got these levels? Is there going to be added soon, more added on?
Well, today for the demo, we brought 4 levels from our second act, kind of the push and pull of wanting to show off some of that dimensionality while not just dropping players in the deep end and killing them. And so, yeah, we brought 4 levels from Act 2 today. But of course, within the game proper, you'll have access to all of it.
Is it just single player?
It is single player, yes. We've done a bit of multiplayer in the office, and it's carnage.
Is that local or?
It's local, but it will not be in the game proper. It's really just a fun way to tinker.
And is there going to be a level editor?
If people show interest, absolutely. We have one. That's how we build our levels. Built a little custom level editor. If people would love to use it, I'd love to see what people can build.
There's the disco.
There's the disco world.
Can you miss that though? Because it's like.
No, that's the end goal of each level, and so it'll always be set up in such a way that you can't quite miss it. But yeah, no. If people show interest, love to make level editor public. Yeah.
And how big's your backers? You got quite a lot of followers?
We're building up. We've only been kind of hyping the game for a month or so, maybe a bit more. And so we're getting there, yeah. We've had a really good turnout here at the convention. We've had people playing it throughout, and it's been good fun, but yeah.
So the people here, they enjoyed it?
Yeah, you can kind of see them confused for a couple moments, die for a couple moments, and then I think you can see right back there, it kind of clicks and you get it, and suddenly you're able to pull off these maneuvers that probably seemed impossible at first glance.
I guess this game won't get boring, because you get those games that you do the same thing over and over again, but if it's constantly changing, then I guess it gives you a different feel.
I think there's an awful lot of surprises in this game, yeah.
And the controls, are they simple, complex?
It was actually critical to me in this game that we do keep them very simple. The entire game is played with just a D-pad, A button, B button. I actually develop on a Nintendo controller and use that for most of the day. And so I think it's that simplicity of each of the component flavors that allows the kind of resultant whole to be very complex. Whereas each of them were already complex to begin with, you'd be just overwhelmed.
And What sort of computer would this be able to run on?
This will run on PC and Mac. So far across the board in terms of specs we've seen.
So you could run it on more or less anything.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident saying yes.
What about, are you going to cross over into tablets? Because it looks pretty simple. I mean, they'll have your different mechanics and stuff, but would you be able to put it on there?
We could fairly easily put it on some tablets. It's actually written in Java, so Android's not a big stretch. My big passion is actually really, in addition to PC and Mac, gaming consoles. So yeah, we got a big lab game on this. It's good, big old multiplayer game. But yeah, consoles, if this game gets any traction, does well, which it's actually looking quite good, I could definitely see console in our future.
And the art on the back there, has it got anything, is they like the lightning bits, the split in the dimensions?
It's not exactly the effect that we have in the game proper. This drawing right here is actually a painting by a friend of mine, Irving. And he was kind enough to actually do it of his own accord, just in time for Rezzed. It happened to work out perfectly, and it's kind of a great example of how the game works with the samurais and the ninja and the Pac-Man and the jetpack all spliced into one.
I see you got a bit of crowd behind you from the other game. Has anyone crossed over?
Oh yeah, quite a number of people. We've got, this great, I'll throw out a shout out, Gang Beast, this great 4-player competitive game, kind of a beat 'em up. And lots of fun, and so lots of fun, especially a great convention game. And a number of people have kind of switched camps and switched back either way.
I think if they were to come here again though, they would have probably a whole booth.
Yeah, they should.
I think you will as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
Well, we just went up on Steam Greenlight just under a week ago, and that's quite important to me. Obviously, getting greenlit to Steam would mean an awful lot to us, and so if you guys wouldn't mind giving us a vote, I'd appreciate it a great deal.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.